everyone! In this video today, I want to show you all how to make this mini Celtic wave friendship bracelet. It's essentially just a Celtic wave friendship bracelet, but split in half. The Celtic wave is a really easy friendship bracelet, but this version is even easier than that. Of course, because it is cut in half, so if you want to learn how to make this super cool pattern, then keep on watching. So for this bracelet, you are going to need 12 strings and 5 colors. Depending on how you want your color order to go, your middle 4 strings are all going to be the same color, and then the rest of your 4 colors are going to have 2 strings. So for the variation that I'm following, I have 2 reds, orange, yellow, green, and then I have 4 whites, because I want these ones to go in the middle, which is what I did for this bracelet here too. And you can see that I have this color order sort of going in reverse, quote unquote. So for this bracelet, I want it to go from red to green instead. This is a mirroring pattern, so from the center to the outside, you want to order your strings 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you want a more rainbow order, that's the order you can make it, or you can do whatever sort of color palette that you'd like. Now, I measured my strings exactly 27 inches, and that was just barely enough for me to be able to make a 6-inch bracelet. And that is also with a loop. So if you are making the same length of bracelet, I would suggest going just about 30 or 32 inches, and you should have plenty of string. But if you need to make a longer or shorter bracelet, then just be sure to adjust that accordingly. And also, one thing to note, your middle strings are going to be used the least in this pattern, which means you don't have to measure them the same length as your other strings if you want to save on them a little bit. And I would show you just how much string gets left out, but I already cut this one to use in this bracelet, and that really sucks because this is a full length bracelet. Oh, I'm so stupid. No. That's rough. I guess I can just make this into a keychain or something somehow. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Whatever strings you want to go in the middle, they will be used considerably less than the rest of your strings. So this bracelet works really well with the shape start. You can just take your middle strands and start that sort of diamond shape that you see at the top and bottom of the pattern. But you can also just tie a knot at the top with a simple loop or with ties, and you can still start these steps the same way. What you want to do first is take your middle 2 and tie a forward knot. And then with your right string of the 2, go ahead and do a forward knot onto the next strand to the right of it. And then you'll actually take your left strand of your middle 4 and do 2 forward knots onto the next 2 strings to the right of it. I am actually now going to take my left group of strands and put them off to the side so that I can just focus on the right side for now. From here, we can work with the rest of our colors, and it is super easy. I'm going to take my second color and do backward knots on both of these strings to bring it to the left. And we are going to repeat those steps with all of the rest of our 3 colors. So we're going to take the next color in line, and again, do 2 backward knots just on the 2 strands to the left of it. And then again, pick up the next color and do 2 backward knots onto the 2 strands to the left of it. And once you get to this point, because we have the string sort of flaring out, you don't want to tie the string too loose, but you also don't want to tie it too tight. And knowing the right tension honestly just comes with practice, and it takes a lot of it. So you don't want to pull it so tight that you're kind of choking the string up here. You want to pull it tight enough so that your colors are next to each other as they sort of fan out. So it does take a lot of practice and figuring out exactly what tension feels right and also looks right. Pick up our final colored strand and again do backward knots onto the next 2 strings to the left of it. And that is the first half of this side completed. And now we want to take all of our strings and bring them back over to the right side. And doing that now instead of doing the left side is just going to make this segment knotting so much quicker. Now our color order is in reverse. So you're going to pick up the strand that we finished on. That is now our first strand in line from our middle 2 here. This time, just do forward knots on these next 2 strings to the right of it to bring it over to the right side. And then pick up the next color in line and repeat exactly what we just did. 2 forward knots onto the next 2 strings to the right of it. And then the next color, repeat that. Again, being careful not to pull too tight or too loose on the knot. And then our last color, repeat the exact same step. And you can see there my string is kind of going underneath my color next to it, so you can kind of pull them out a little bit so long as you don't pull too tight. And you've noticed by now that our colors are never being knotted onto except for the 2 strands of our very first color. And that's how you get that super cool wave effect. So we have completely finished this side. So I'm going to take this group of string and just put it off to the side for now and bring back the left group of strings so that we can repeat what we just did but mirror it. So on the left side, we are going to take our strings and do forward knots to bring them to the middle. So we have our 2 first colored strands right here. Pick up the string next to it, which will be your second color, and do 2 forward knots onto the next 2 strings to the right of it. And then you'll repeat that exact same step with your last 3 colors. So pick up the next string in line and do 2 forward knots onto the next 2 strings to the right of it. Pick up the next color, repeat that again. And then take your final color on the left, which will be your 5th color, and do 2 forward knots yet again. We need to bring all of these colors back onto the left side. So your colors are going to be in the reverse order from the middle 2 strings. So you'll take your first strand here and do backward knots onto the next 2 strings to the left of it. And then pick up the next color, which will be your 4th color. Repeat that again, do 2 backward knots. Third color, next one in line, repeat the same steps. And then finally your 2nd color. And that is seriously all you do for this halved Celtic wave. It is so easy and doesn't take a lot of time to make. So when you start the pattern over, you'll of course do the sort of diamond that we started off with in the very beginning. And when you do tie these middle 2 strings together, you can already see that there is a pretty large gap between these two. So when you start tying your knot, you want to pull it pretty tight so that the outsides are closer together, but you also don't want to pull it too tight that it's sort of, you know, pulling up like that. Again, with tension, you just have to find your sweet spot. But you do want to hold down your base strands while you do this, because it'll just make it so much easier to get your knot started, and then when you pull it through the 2nd time, it'll be so much easier. And then you just continue on with your diamond, and then you repeat those steps on the left and right side again. And once you have your middle sort of diamond area completed, it does not matter which side you want to start on, and that's why I segment knotted it in the way that I did, so that you can choose whichever side you want to start on, whether it be the left or the right. And obviously this is how the bracelet looks right side up. And so when you flip it over, that's where it will look its best, in my opinion. And really in everyone else's opinion, I think. That's how pretty much everyone prefers to show this bracelet. The structure just looks way more intricate than what you see here. But of course, both sides look really cool. So I want to thank you all so much for watching this video today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.